So in this episode, I'll walk you through the process of shaping these legs with the flare at the bottom out of this 2-inch maple. So as I mentioned before, our finished leg dimension will be 1.5 by 1.5 square, but at the bottom we're going to have that little flare. What I did is I've gone ahead and made a template that I'll use to route that flare into these legs. First step in the process is to cut the legs to length. So with the legs cut to length, the next step is to get the shape onto the legs. I've gone ahead and I've made a template that has both the inside and the outside shape of the leg. I put in blocks to position the blanks. I can just put the leg in here. I can then trace the outline on both sides of the leg, cut off the excess with the TS55 F and the Carvex. Then I can put the leg back in here, use the router to finish shaping the leg. So the next step in the process is to remove as much of the material as I can with the TS55 and the Carvex before we take it to the router. To do that, I've set up a stop block, 2 clamping elements that will support the material. So when I put my guide rail on here, it doesn't slide this way, it doesn't slide that way. I've got support for my guide rail to cut with my TS55. If you want to learn more about the TS55K, check out the link in the description. I'll be using the cordless Carvex to trim off the rest of the material on the legs. If you have any questions about pairing a Bluetooth battery with one of our CT dust extractors, check out the link in the description. As you can see, it's not a very pretty cut right now, but once I run that router bit along that template, it'll be perfectly smooth. So with the legs all roughed out, I can go ahead and use some double stick tape to affix the legs to the template, then use the 1400 router with a 1/2 inch bottom bearing template bit to clean up the legs. For this application, I'll be using the chip catcher that comes with the OF1400 router. It's designed to be cut away so it can accept longer bits like I'm using in this application. So I have it set up right now. So I'll do the outside part of the flare first on all the legs, and then we'll spin the template around and I'll do the inner part of the flare. This is one of my favorite steps in the process where you can see a rough piece of material turned into a more refined shape. Now I can rotate the template around and do the opposite side. So with all the template routing done, I'm going to go ahead and do a little light sanding to get rid of any of the chatter marks that were left behind by the router. I'm using the RO150 with a hard pad so I can get a nice crisp clean edge when I'm sanding. First round of sanding I'll be doing with an 80 grit abrasive. Now I've switched over to 120 grit and I'll finish off sanding the legs. So now we have those edges sanded. The next step in the process is to do some roundovers on 3 of the corners. Now we'll go to layout to figure out which corners are going to get the roundover. So if we take a look at the prototype, these are the legs with 3 rounded corners, but I also made a mistake and did that 4th corner where the panel meets the edge of the leg. I don't want to do that on these legs, so layout is crucial. So what I've gone ahead and done is pick the best 2 legs for the front, and I've laid them out to where we've got the front legs, and now we've got the back legs. And I've labeled them back right, back left, front right. I can put X's where I don't want the roundover, where that panel's gonna meet, and then I can round over the other 3 edges of each leg. One thing to keep in mind is on the inside corners of all the legs, I still want to round over right up to where the carcass starts. To do these roundovers, I'll be using the MFK 700 with a 1/4 inch roundover bit. One thing I want to make sure I do is on the bottom of the leg, I want to round over all 4 corners. That way, if you're moving the bedside table around at some point, it doesn't catch an edge and tear out. So we're done with the legs for now. The next step in the process is moving on to preparing the material for the carcass of the bedside table. If you want to continue with the build, click here or check this out. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to be notified when we upload new content, click that notification bell.